Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it is time for my client Carter's vlog. And in keeping with what we did this last time, we did double dynamic for his lower because he's been having a little bit of some low back and hip issues. But we're good to go for next week. We're going to go back to doing conservative training maxes. But we started the week off with max effort upper. He got a 285 bench plus the chains, and I'm trying to remember, I think it's 27 or 37 pounds of chains there. Actually, let me go ahead and check. That would be a good thing to know. I've got 30 pounds of chains listed, but it might have been a little more based on what he had for chain weight. Because sometimes I give those as approximations to my people because I forget sometimes exact combinations of chains that everyone has. I try to keep notes. But it's close enough for our purposes, as long as he records and knows how much he has. And it might have been 27, might have been 30, whatever. But the idea, he got 285 plus some chains. And then we did some closed grip benching, followed by lat pull downs, because he's had some tendon issues in his elbows and things from pull-ups. He's actually pretty good at pull-ups. But again, a little bit of tendon issues that occur sometimes. He's a client who's had a long-term number of inflammation problems with his elbow. Another reason I'm having him really work the band work hard. And we may even need to eventually incorporate some for the bicep side also. So I have him doing front raises. He had asked could he use cables instead of plates. They feel really natural for him. I'm like, sure, we can do that. And in the case of, my more advanced lifters like this, who have access to a lot of equipment, have been doing a lot of training, I'm not as worried if they want to use a variation of the supplemental work. If a guy doesn't want to do plates, he wants to do some dumbbells or cables or a football bar for a front raise, I'm cool with it. I like the plates personally, when I bother to do them. Of course, I do other stuff too. So we follow that up with band press downs, and I'm going to have him do tons and tons of these because again, they work for our needs. They work for his tendonitis and stuff, and I want to keep on top of that. Notice he has big arms even without doing a whole lot of arm work. It's just not necessary for him. It's just where he grows. He grew a lot of tricep doing closed grip benching and stuff over the years. So that's what we do. Speed work, again, because he noticed the stability with the chains was a problem on the speed pulls, that it was messing with him with the inflammation that we have. So I've let him do straight weight on these, but we're doing chains at the moment for his safety bar box squats. And that's kind of the thing we run into. People will say, well, his coaching, can it just be generic templates? Well, no, not really. You've got to work around people's inflammations. You have to work around their minor injuries. And actually, I had someone ask, could you do a video on working around injuries? Yeah, you pick movements that you can do. And you don't do movements that hurt. That's how you train around, injuries. In this case, it's not injury. It's just chronic inflammation. Because an injury would imply some sort of actual soft or hard tissue damage. In this case, doesn't ever seem to be any damage. It's just inflammation. It's inflammation. And of course, it has put his lower body to where, he's more or less an intermediate in the lower body right now. And I have advanced written because his upper body is advanced. This is a guy who can crank out 15 pull-ups. He can bench over 300 pounds with a pause. What do you want to call that? The upper body's advanced. We've dealt with a lot of inflammation on the lower, but I'm going to have him up to pretty good numbers. Give me another 6 months, and those will be up there. They'll be fine. We just have to continue to address the inflammation. We have to continue to strengthen things like his low back. And, when we look at these reverse hypers and the strength where he's at on those, it tells us a lot. Essentially, what we're dealing with is a very weak low back. All right, we're dealing with a weak low back. His glute ham raises are fine. Considering he is over 200 pounds, he can crank out glute ham raises. What's that tell us? Probably not hamstrings. All right. And then even if we look at his ratios of what I've seen him squat and deadlift so far, the reverse hyper is lagging. And, and these are a fight for him. So we know this low back. really has to come up. It's a bit of a weak link. And once we continue to sort that and it gets stronger, I think our issues are going to go away. And of course, we mentioned the fact that certain parts of his job are a problem with this. And this is where a lot of it originates. And we're not going to go into what he does for a living, because kind of no one's business. That gets asked every now and then, But obviously, it pays well, right? Obviously, it pays well. Look at his home gym. Back when he can afford coaching. So, professional considerations, though. There's elements to his job that really, really put a lot of stress on his low back. And, we have to work around that. And over time, the reverse hypers will actually help with that. As we strengthen that area, get blood flow to it, build more connective tissue, bigger capillary beds to his lower back with those high rep reverse hypers, things will actually get a lot better. All right, speed bench this week was with chains. Following it up with some flat dumbbell presses, which we're going to have to take out. He's getting a little bit of pec inflammation. And again, the nature of the game. We work around these inflammation things. All right, so flat presses. We did probably some more lat pull downs in there. And we did band press downs. All right, second speed work day, pretty much identical to the first. Nothing really changed. Notice we're getting nice, good depth on that box, good speed off the box. I'd like the chains a little lower, which we've talked about. We've got to learn to set those chains up right, which means, the chain needs to be touching the floor still when we get to the top. All right, that's what we want to see. He did a little bit of a variation on his dumbbell rows this week. He did them similar to the way you guys see me do them. I do my bent over a bench with one hand on it. And I do them very similar to what he's doing here. I like it. I get really good stimulus this way. And it's easier than rolling a dumbbell under the bench. Because, you get a strong back and you've got to use pretty big dumbbells. Right? You're not working with 50s or 60s anymore. So, again, I like this variation personally myself. It's something I only recently started doing. But I always tell people with these, it's personal preference. Like if one of you say, hey, which of these is better? Should I have the knee on the bench or should I do them bent over? And I'm going to say, it's personal preference. Which one's more comfortable for your setup? Which one, again, more convenient for you to do? Which one do you feel more? It's just personal preference. I don't think one is better than the other. Right? Find the variation that works best for your needs. And mainly is, where do you feel it to? That probably matters a lot. And then we finish up with glute ham raises and reverse hypers. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.